Hi, Jake Marock. Nice to meet you.
Meet you.
Nathan Jordan.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you very much for coming today. I'd like to hear your ideas on what to do.
All right, so as a 25-year-old, it's very important that you start investing right now. You only have that $200 in your savings account, and you don't have any other investments. If you want to start a family in the next 5 years, it's just not going to happen.
It's very important to start investing now because we've seen that with investments and your money growing at a 6% return on investment. We can see your money doubling year after year according to the rule 72.
All right, so the rule of 72 here is very important. You need to start investing right now, otherwise it's just not going to grow enough, and you're not going to be able to take those trips that you like to take on the weekend. You're not going to be able to support this family, and you're not going to be able to pay off your two debts, that car loan and that student loans.
So we're going to talk a little bit about why you should be investing now and why there's an importance to invest and see ultimately how it can benefit you financially so you can ultimately retire early. So the first parts are going to be investing in things like stocks and bonds and mutual funds, things like that are going to set you on a career path where you'll be able to have financial needs met consistently because you'll see a constant growth of your money. So when we're taking $800 a month left over after paying all your expenses, we can see that $800, if you just invest 30% of that money, you'll see that money doubling year after year because we'll have a 6%, if not more, return on investment. Seeing that rule of 72, meaning after 6 years, your money will double every 8 years.
Yeah, so currently, your current needs are just those two $15,000 payments, and you're paying those off pretty fast already. And we just want to see those payments paid off before you want to start a family, before you want to start going on these trips again, because that way you can become financially sound, and that means you have no more debts to pay off, and you start saving more and more money, and you can raise that percentage to 30% or 40% even after you pay off those debts.
Yeah, so as my partner just said, the most important thing is going to be paying off debts because we know with debts that there's an increasing interest rate every single year. So we have $15,000 on student loans and a $15,000 car payment that we have to pay off. Focusing on that $800 and paying off those car payments is going to be beneficial because we'll have to stop paying those interest rates that are absurd and be able to set you on a path to where we're not just constantly in debt. We'll be able to pay off our debt and set for the future of having our own money be our own money rather than just consistently paying the bank back on debts that we have in the first place. So this brings us on to our first point of why we should start investing now and why it's going to be beneficial to you. And that's going to be it helps your financial needs in the long run. So the first point, how it's going to help your financial needs, and that's going to be by investing because your money will be consistently doubling, whereas just leaving it in a checking account or even leaving it in a savings account, you'll see not even 1% return on your investment year after year. So you want to make your money work for you, and right now, leaving it in a checking account or even just in a savings account isn't actually working for you. That money that's just constantly in a checking account doesn't see growth or return on investments like you could with investments, investing in mutual funds, stocks, and bonds, and things like that. So focusing your money towards something that you'll see consistent growth is going to be beneficial because ultimately you'll have your money work for you, which is the key point.
So what we want to do for you is set a few financial goals that are very feasible. So what we want to start doing is just saving 20% every month off that $800 that you still have, and then the rest of that money you're going to go to a little bit of entertainment, and the rest is going to go to those loans. It's very important you pay off those loans in the next few years if you really want to start a family. And so that's the really feasible thing here is paying off those loans in the next 3 to 5 years, and then really stepping up your investment rates and stepping up the amount of money you're putting in stocks and bonds and other types of savings.
And thirdly, we want to explain how saving your money is going to be key. So we can't save our money for consistently spending the amount of money we earn. As we see that we have an $800 net profit of the money we earn from our job every single month. This money that we're earning from our job is going to be beneficial, but when we're consistently just putting in a checking account, it's not working for us. So also we want to save and invest because saving and investing makes your money work for you. So rather than just putting in a checking account and receiving little return on investment, if not none return on investment, we want to have your money earn a 6 to 7, even if 8% return on investment, which will ultimately, under the rule of 72, will see your money double year after year depending on the interest rates. Now, secondly, we also want to see the types of investments we're going to be investing in, which is going to be mutual funds, stocks, and bonds. The more risk appropriated types are going to be stocks because they're more risky, but you can possibly yield a higher return on investment. But depending on your financial status, we want to look at towards something that is going to be beneficial to where you'll be able to start a family with less risk, but at the same time still giving you that return on investment that we desire.
So it's very important for you to have a budget right now. While you are budgeting pretty well right now, that money that you've left over, you're not budgeting that into savings, you're not budgeting that into anything other than just money that goes into your checking account, and that means you're spending it. So if you start budgeting right now and start spending less on these weekend trips and start spending less on these expensive like meals and stuff like that, then you're really going to have money to invest. You're really going to have money when you start a family. You're going to have that nest egg that you can then spend for your first kid to go to college or something like that. That's really why you're investing now. Even though you are just 25, you do need to start planning for the future and budgeting now.
Yeah, and we ultimately believe that statement to be true because when you actually look at your retirement planning, we don't want to just have $800 or $200 in our saving account and checking account. We want to have thousands of dollars to where we can be able to actually retire and not have to work anymore, because that's ultimately what's going to be helping us retire and start the family that we desire. So when we're starting a family, obviously it takes a lot of money to start a family. So how are we going to accumulate this money is going to be by investing, because the only way to actually make your money grow rather than just continuously getting that $800 a month is going to be investing it, because investing yields return on investments. So if we can even yield a 5% return on investment, we'll see our money consistently double, which is only going to be beneficial for you and letting your money consistently double year after year.
So you really need to start retirement planning right now. As my partner said, retirement planning is very important, and you really need to start now because otherwise your money's not going to be doubling. Your money's just going to be sitting there in a checking and savings account with very little interest on it and very little money that you're actually earning. And if you really want to start retiring, you might want to start thinking about in the future putting into your retirement plan that your company's already putting money into every month. You want to start actually contributing to that, and might want to start putting money into some mutual funds and some stocks that will help you with.
Right. So we've set out a short plan that will help you start your financial goals and reaching your financial goals. And that's going to be investing right now 20% of that $800 per month in stocks, mutual bonds, things like that, or investments. And then also focusing another 10% on paying off those student loans, paying off that car debt. Getting debt completely rid of is going to be the most important fact, because we know that if we don't pay off debt, it will consistently grow after year in a negative way, where we have to pay more and more. And if we get in a bad cycle, we won't be able to pay off any. So paying off 10% per month of that $800 will be able to pay off those student loans and student debt and the car payments. And then secondly, having that 20% starting now will help us reach those financial goals, plan for retirements, and actually focus on starting a family, which is ultimately something you've indicated that you wanted to do. And then lastly, once we pay off those student loans and car debts, we can focus on increasing our percentage rate of that $800 per month and focusing 30% of our income towards things like investments, stocks, bonds, mutual funds. And by doing this, it will not only set us up to have a family and actually be able to pay for the necessities of having a child and having a spouse, but also it'll help us to be able to plan for retirement planning by having an income when we are older and when we retire around 65 or so.
Yeah, 30% is going to be very beneficial to you. When you bump up to that 30% for paying off your debts, that means you're going to have no other money that's bleeding from your account. You're just going to have that 30%, and if you budget right, that 30% can mean a lot of money. And according to the Rule 72, that means a lot of money that you're doubling every year. You'll be able to retire early, you'll be able to spend more time with your kid, go on those weekend trips that you like with your wife, start a family, and really have that nest egg to spend. So financial goals we're laying out is focus on spending or using 10% of that income to pay off those debts. Focus on that other 20% of the 30%, 20% to focus on investments. And once we pay off those debts, we can use 30% of that $800 to appropriate towards retirement planning and other types of investments. And we still have 70% of that income of that $800. So that other income can, things for like rainy day funds. They can also plan for unexpected events and things that you'll have to pay for in the future when starting a family. So we're not completely drying you of all the money that you earn. In fact, we're just making the money that you earn work for you, which is ultimately going to be the most important part of today, because you'll see that over investments, time is key, and investing your money now is going to be the most beneficial part, because you are still young right now at 25 years old, and having 40 or 50 more years to invest is going to be beneficial for you, because you'll see your money consistently double years after years, which is going to be growing your income and growing and planning for the retirement. By beginning to invest now, you'll be able to spend more time with your family, start that family, go on those weekend trips you love, and you'll be able to retire early. Thank you. You have any questions for us?
Yes. What options are available to earn interest on money typically held in a savings account?
So on a savings account, you can oftentimes renegotiate with the bank, go to different banks, and you can get higher interest rates that actually help you out more than, and you start putting more money into your savings account. Because that $200 isn't going to do too much for you right now. So that's really why we want to move up your investments. That's really why we want to move up how much you're saving every month. Even if it is just putting that into your savings account, you'll still be making more of an interest rate. You'll still be making more money there. And if you keep renegotiating with your bank or putting it into a CD or some other type of savings account that's more flexible, you can actually make more money back, and you can make your money work for you harder.
All right. What positive and negative impact will other saving opportunities have on my day-to-day financial needs?
Right. So investments as a self are very risky in certain ways because investing in things like stocks can be risky depending on other people's decisions within the companies. So other people's decisions and their decisions themselves can affect the way you invest and affect the way you make your decisions on the types of investments you go in. But ultimately, focusing on yourself is going to be important and focusing on things that will be lower risk, and you won't have to worry about what other people's decisions will how they'll affect you.
All right. What does the concept "pay yourself first" mean, and how can it benefit me?
So really, you need to start talk. You need to think about yourself. That's why we're talking about budgeting, because you are covering most of your expenses, but you do need to pay off those debts, and you do need to have some money for some fun. That's why we're only taking 30% here and starting out with 20%, because that means that you can actually have all that other money to pay yourself to be able to have an active lifestyle, to be able to actually afford your house, to afford living, and to be able to start that family in the